Hello, World Wide Web. Hello, YouTube fans. Hello, Nurse. This is Locke back at you once again, talking to you once again about the country of China. And Nurse, you should be very interested in this subject because it has to do with pharmaceuticals and the importation of pharmaceutical drugs into our country from China. This is something that cannot be allowed to happen on any means in any way. And any congressman or senator that wants to argue for the fact that this is something that is good for our country, they are insane and they are un-American. They have nothing to do with America. They have their own private agenda and they are trying to convince us otherwise because they cannot make that argument. Just recently in the news, China has not one but two cases against it where they are being investigated for spying on America and trying to steal American secrets. Okay? Just recently, within the last 2 weeks, you can look it up on Yahoo. It was reported. The news reported it very briefly, but of course they're not going to delve too deeply into this because, you know, it's not in their best interest. They'd rather talk to us about, you know, the murder of one person here and there rather than the destruction of our country and our way of life. They'd rather distract us with other types of news rather than focus on news that we can use and news that's important to us as Americans. But that notwithstanding, I'm talking about China and the importation of pharmaceutical drugs not only because of that, but also a national chain, a nationally recognized chain, Trader Joe's, has finally come out to say it is no longer going to be selling products made in China. Good for you, Trader Joe's. Excellent. Because the quality of Chinese products are circumspect at the very least. And it's just something that should be a non-starter. I'm not against trade with China, but I am against the trade of things that can affect our country's national security. Okay? And pharmaceutical drugs is something that can affect our national security. I personally don't take pharmaceutical drugs. I personally do not trust pharmaceutical companies to serve the American good. I trust them to serve their bottom line and to serve their stockholders and to serve the great Lord, great God called profit. That is what they serve. That is what they're there for. That is what they're bound to. They are not egalitarian. They are not philanthropic. They are not here because they really actually want to see people get better. They're here because there's profit in making people believe that they can get better. So, personally, I don't subscribe to pharmaceuticals or pharmaceutical drugs. But, does the person driving in the car next to me do that? Does the person driving in the car next to you? Does the person that is flying your airplane take pharmaceutical drugs? Does the person who is driving your cab take pharmaceutical drugs? Does the person who's driving your bus take pharmaceutical drugs? Does the person who is chauffeuring you from one place to another take pharmaceutical drugs? Does the person on the highway next to you take pharmaceutical drugs? Can you afford and can your family afford to take the chance that those drugs are coming in from China and are subpar and have not been fairly inspected? Do we need pharmaceutical drugs? Is there a need for pharmaceutical drugs? Yes, there certainly are. Do other countries make some pharmaceutical drugs other than China? Well, we have one country that has been with us since our inception, has been our next door neighbor, and has been our ally, one of our strongest allies in democracy. We have Canada that has a great pharmaceutical program. What's wrong with drugs from Canada? Why can't we get our drugs from Canada? Why are there not more senators and congressmen trying to make it easier for pharmaceutical drugs to come in through Canada? Why? Because the greed factor is not high enough. That's why. Because the lobbyists from Canada are not paying them enough. They can't match the type of money and the inflow. They cannot buy those votes. We need to wake up and we need to think about what makes this country the strongest country in the world, why we're number one, because we are slowly but surely losing our footing. And believe me, China's not going anywhere. They are not intending on going anywhere. They are willing to wait us out. As far as that country is concerned, we are a blip on their historical radar. They are fighting a war of attrition against us, and they are willing to wait until we fall or until we're at our weakest moment, and they're more than happy to provide that weakness. and any in that we can give them so that they can provide that weakness, they're more than happy to exploit. We cannot allow them to sell our country goods that can affect our national security and, most importantly, the health of our fellow countrymen. And if you don't do something, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. This is a very, very true statement. So, we need to make up our mind as Americans. Do we want to sell ourselves out to China, or do we want to do the smart thing? And maybe it may cost us a little bit more, but you know what? Safety has its price. Security has its price. Common sense has a price. Let's put the sense back into common sense. That's what I say. That's all I've got to say on the matter. You decide for yourself, and please get up off your duff and do something about it once you've made your decision. Lock out.